The knife slipped again, slicing into Nia's finger just as the back door slammed open, so hard it shook the hinges. Blood welled instantly, but she didn't flinch. 3 men stormed into the kitchen, their presence loud, aggressive, intentional. One of them kicked a chair aside. Another swept a row of spice jars off the counter, glass shattering across the floor. The tallest one walked straight toward her like he had been waiting for this moment all day. Nia grabbed the cloth, pressing it hard against her finger, forcing herself to stay still. "I told you," she said, her voice low but steady. "I need more time." The man laughed, slow and cold. "You've been saying that for weeks." He glanced around the nearly empty kitchen, unimpressed. "This place is dying. You just don't know it yet." Nia's jaw tightened. "It's not dead." "Then pay," he said flatly. Silence stretched between them. Nia didn't move, didn't look away. That was answer enough. The second man grabbed a plate and smashed it against the floor, the crack echoing through the space. Another shoved the pot off the stove, metal clanging loudly. "Stop," she snapped, stepping forward before she could stop herself. The man grinned. "Or what?" The tallest one leaned closer, his voice dropping. "You don't pay tonight, we take something else." His eyes dragged across the room, then back to her. "Maybe this place. Maybe you." Something shifted inside her then. Fear, anger, exhaustion, all colliding at once. Her hand curled into a fist. "Get out," she said. "Or what?" he repeated, stepping even closer. "Leave." The voice came from behind them, calm but cutting through the tension, like it didn't belong to the chaos. All 3 men froze. Nia turned slowly. A man stood at the kitchen entrance, hands tucked into his coat pockets, expression unreadable. He didn't look like much. No raised voice, no visible threat, but the room felt different with him in it. The tall man straightened, irritation flashing across his face. "This doesn't concern you." The man didn't move. "It does now." A quiet pause followed. One of the men shifted uneasily, leaning toward the tall one. "We should go." The tall man didn't respond immediately. Pride held him there longer than it should have. The stranger's gaze didn't waver. "Now," the second man whispered, urgency creeping into his voice. That broke it. The tall one stepped back, glaring at Nia. "This isn't over." Then they were gone, the door slamming behind them just as hard as it opened. The silence that followed felt heavier than the chaos. Nia exhaled slowly, only now realizing how tight her chest had been. She bent down, picking up a shard of broken plate, her hand trembling slightly despite her effort to stay composed. "Thank you," she said without looking at him. "No need," he replied. She glanced up at him then, studying him properly. He was watching her, not in a way that felt invasive, but like he was assessing something deeper than what he saw. "You knew them," she said. "I know enough," he replied. That answer didn't sit well with her. "That's not the same thing." A faint flicker of something crossed his face, almost like amusement. "No," he agreed. "It's not." Nia straightened, dropping the broken piece onto the counter. "If you're done, I have work to do." His eyes moved across the kitchen again. The broken items, the emptiness, the strain that hung in the air. "Do you?" he asked quietly. That irritated her instantly. "Yes." He reached into his coat, and she tensed immediately. "If that's money, it is," he said calmly. "I don't want it." He paused, then still pulled out an envelope, holding it loosely. "I'm not offering charity." "Then what are you offering?" she asked, crossing her arms. "A solution." She let out a short, humorless laugh. "You don't even know my problem." "I know enough," he said again. "You're behind on rent. You're being pressured. And you're too proud to ask for help." Her eyes narrowed. "You've been watching me?" "Observing," he corrected. "That's worse." "Is it?" he asked. Nia stepped closer, her voice firm. "Listen carefully. I didn't come here to be rescued. I didn't come here to owe anyone anything. And yet you already do," he said. That hit harder than she expected. "Not to you." He tilted his head slightly. "Not yet." She stared at him, something uneasy settling in her chest. "Why are you here?" she asked. He held her gaze. Because I think you're wasting something valuable. You don't know me. I know enough, he repeated. You keep saying that, she snapped. Because it's true. Silence hung between them again, but this time it felt heavier. He stepped forward just enough to place the envelope on the counter. Take it, he said. No. Think of it as an investment. In what? You. She shook her head immediately. I'm not interested. You should be. I'm not. Her voice sharpened. Take it back. He didn't move. You'll change your mind. No, I won't. He studied her for a moment longer, then gave a small nod, like he had expected that answer. We'll see. And just like that, he turned and walked out. Nia stood there, staring at the envelope like it might explode. Her heart was still racing, but now it wasn't just from fear. It was something else, something more complicated. She walked over slowly, picked it up, and without opening it, shoved it into a drawer. I'm not taking it, she muttered to herself. That night, she barely slept. Every noise made her tense. Every shadow fell heavier. By morning, exhaustion clung to her like a second skin. She unlocked the restaurant, stepping inside with a quiet determination. She would fix this. She had to. But as she moved through the space, she saw it clearly now. The cracks, the strain, the reality she had been trying to outrun. Her phone buzzed. She hesitated before answering. Maya, she said. You sound terrible, Maya replied instantly. What happened? Nia exhaled slowly. They came back. What? Last night, they wrecked the place. Threatened me. Are you okay? I'm fine. No, you're not, Maya said firmly. You should have called me. And done what? Nia shot back. This isn't your problem. It is if it's yours. Nia closed her eyes briefly. I handled it. How? Maya asked. Nia hesitated. Someone stepped in. Who? Another pause. I don't know, she said, even though that wasn't entirely true. There was silence on the other end. Then Maya spoke carefully. Nia, what did he want? That made her open her eyes. What do you mean? No one helps for free, Maya said, especially not here. Nia's grip tightened on the phone. He offered money, and I said no. Maya exhaled audibly. Good. Something about that response didn't sit right. Why does it sound like you already knew that would happen? Nia asked. Because I know how this city works, Maya replied quickly. Too quickly. Nia frowned slightly. Maya, just be careful, okay? She cut in. Please. The line went quiet. Nia lowered the phone slowly, unease settling deeper in her chest. Something wasn't right, and she was starting to feel it. She turned toward the drawer. The envelope was still there, waiting. Nia stared at him for a long second, then walked past him, grabbed the envelope from the drawer, and shoved it hard against his chest. Take it back, she said, her voice low but firm. Jean didn't take it immediately. He looked down at the envelope, then back at her face. You didn't even count it, he said. I don't need to, she replied. It's not mine. He took it then, slowly, like he was studying her more than the money. You're making this harder than it needs to be. No, she said, shaking her head. You're making it complicated. I told you I don't want your help. He slipped the envelope back into his coat. You don't want help, but you need it. Her eyes flashed. Don't decide that for me. Someone has to, he said quietly. That was it. The line. The one that pushed something deeper than anger. No, she said, stepping closer, her voice tightening with emotion. No one gets to decide anything for me. Not you. Not those men. No one. Jean held her gaze, unflinching. Then decide, he said, because right now, everything around you is deciding for you. The words landed heavy, and she hated that part of her knew he wasn't wrong. She turned away, pacing once, trying to shake off the feeling. Why me? She asked suddenly. There are 100 places like this in this city. Why this one? Jean didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was softer. Because you're still standing. She let out a dry laugh. That's your reason? It's enough. She shook her head again, frustration building. You don't even know me. I know enough, he repeated. This time she didn't snap back immediately. Instead, she stared at him like she was trying to figure out what he wasn't saying. People like you don't just walk into places like this and decide to help strangers, she said slowly. So I'll ask again. What do you actually want? Jin's expression didn't change, but there was a pause, small but noticeable. Dinner, he said. She blinked. What? I want you to cook. She frowned. That's it. Not just for me, he added. For people I bring. The tension shifted slightly, confusion mixing with suspicion. You want to rent the place? She asked. No, he said. I want to invest in it. Keep it running. Improve it. And in return, you host private dinners when I need them. She studied him carefully. What kind of dinners? The kind where people talk freely, he said. The kind where privacy matters. Nia let out a slow breath. And I'm supposed to believe nothing illegal is happening in my restaurant? Nothing happens here without your agreement, he said. You set the rules. She laughed under her breath. That's not how men like you work. What do you think men like me are? He asked. Dangerous, she said immediately. Control-driven. Used to getting what they want. And you think I want control over you? I think you want something, she replied. And you're not telling me what it really is. Gene nodded slightly, like he respected the answer. Fair, he said. Then let me be clear. I want a place I can trust. And I think you're someone who won't compromise easily. That made her pause. You don't even know that. I do, he said. You returned the money. Silence settled again, but this time it felt different. Less confrontational. More careful. Nia walked past him again, resting her hands on the counter, staring at the clean surface like it might give her answers. And if I say no, she asked, then I walk away, he said simply. And the next time those men come, I won't be here. The words were calm, not threatening, but they landed like a warning anyway. She turned sharply. So this is pressure now? No, he said. It's reality. She held his gaze, searching for something. Manipulation, deception, anything she could reject. But he stood there, steady, patient, like he had already accepted whatever choice she made. You said I set the rules, she said slowly. Yes. Then listen carefully. She stepped closer, her voice firm again. No illegal deals. No weapons. No violence in my space. Agreed. No secrets that put me at risk. A slight pause. As much as possible, he said. Her eyes narrowed. No. Fully. He held her gaze, then nodded once. Fully. She took a breath. And I'm not working for you. You wouldn't be, he said. You'd be working with me. Equal, she said. Equal, he confirmed. The word hung between them. Nia looked around her restaurant again. The worn edges, the quiet struggle, the reality she had been fighting alone. Her jaw tightened. If I agree, she said, this place stays mine. It always was, he replied. She let out a slow breath, then nodded once. Fine. Gene didn't smile, didn't react dramatically. He just gave a small nod, like this was exactly where things were meant to go. Good, he said. The next few days moved fast. Too fast. Supplies started arriving. Repairs were made. Quiet improvements that made the place feel alive again. Nia worked nonstop, but it felt different now. Not desperate. Focused. Controlled. Still, something about it unsettled her. It was too smooth. Too easy. By the third night, the first private dinner was set. Nia stood in the kitchen, plating dishes carefully, her movements precise. She could hear voices from the dining area. Low, controlled, important. Jin's voice among them. Steady as ever. She stepped out briefly, placing the final dish on the table. Conversations paused for a second, eyes turning toward her. Not curious. Assessing. She didn't like that. Jin noticed. Everyone, he said calmly. This is Nia. No last name. No details. Just her. She gave a small nod and returned to the kitchen immediately. Later that night, when the guests were gone, she found him sitting alone. You didn't tell me who they were, she said. They're people who value discretion, he replied. That's not an answer. It's the only one you need. Her patience snapped slightly. No, it's not. I told you no secrets. And I told you I'd protect you, he said. I don't need protection, she shot back. You needed it 3 nights ago. That hit again, harder this time. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. Maya. Nia stared at the screen for a second before answering. What? She said. You need to tell me what's going on, Maya said immediately. I heard things. Nia frowned. What things? About your restaurant. About who's been there. Nia's grip tightened on the phone. Where are you hearing this? That's not the point, Maya said. The point is you're getting involved in something you don't understand. Nia glanced at Jean, who was watching her quietly. Maybe I understand more than you think. No, you don't, Maya said, her voice sharper now. And if you did, you wouldn't be anywhere near him. Silence. Nia's chest tightened slightly. You know him, she said slowly. There was a pause on the other end. Too long. Maya, Nia pressed. I know enough, Maya said quietly. Nia's stomach dropped slightly. The same words, the same tone, and suddenly, everything felt connected in a way she didn't like. Then start talking, Nia said, her voice firm again. But deep down, she already knew. This was bigger than she thought. Maya didn't answer immediately, and that silence said more than anything else. Nia stepped away from Jean, lowering her voice but not her intensity. You knew, she said. You knew exactly who he was before I ever stepped into this. Maya exhaled slowly on the other end. I knew enough to be worried, she replied. That's not an answer, Nia said, her voice tightening. Did you know him or not? Another pause. Not personally, Maya said, but I know the name. People don't say it loudly for a reason. Nia glanced back at Jean, who hadn't moved, still watching her like he already knew how this conversation would end. And you didn't think to tell me? Nia asked. I tried, Maya shot back. I told you to stay away from people like that. I tried to introduce you to someone safe. You didn't listen. You didn't tell me the truth, Nia said, anger rising now. You made decisions for me. I was trying to protect you, Maya said, her voice breaking slightly. That's not protection, Nia replied. That's control. The word hung heavy. Maya went quiet again, then spoke softer. You don't understand how dangerous this is. Nia's grip on the phone tightened. Then explain it to me. I can't. Not over the phone, Maya said quickly. Then where? Come to the club. Tonight. Nia hesitated. No, she said. You come here. Maya didn't respond right away. I don't think that's a good idea, she finally said. Why? Nia pressed. Because if he's there, I'm not walking into that, Maya replied. Nia's jaw tightened. Then you don't get to tell me what to do. She ended the call before Maya could respond. When she turned back, Jean hadn't moved. You knew she knew, Nia said. I suspected, he replied calmly. And you didn't think to mention it? Would it have changed your decision? He asked. She didn't answer. That irritated her more. You keep doing that, she said, answering questions with questions. Because you already have the answers, he replied. You just don't like them. She stepped closer. Then let me ask you something simple. What exactly am I in the middle of? Jean held her gaze, then leaned back slightly, his tone still calm. A structure, he said. Power, influence, alliances, things that existed long before you got here. And now I'm part of it, she asked. You stepped into it, he corrected. That's not the same thing. It is when you stay, he said. Nia let out a sharp breath, running a hand through her hair. I didn't ask for this. No one ever does, Jean replied. That answer didn't help. It made everything feel heavier. Those men who came here, she said, they weren't just random. No, he said, they weren't. And the people at that dinner, she continued, they weren't just businessmen. No, she shook her head slowly. So what am I to you? A convenient place? A tool? Jin's expression didn't change, but his voice lowered slightly. If you were a tool, you wouldn't be asking these questions. She held his gaze, searching for any sign of deception. Then what am I? She asked. Someone who hasn't decided yet, he said. That answer unsettled her more than anything else. Before she could respond, the front door opened again. This time, the presence that walked in felt heavier, colder. Nia turned instinctively. The man who entered didn't raise his voice or move quickly, but everything about him carried weight. Two others followed behind him, silent, watchful. Jin's posture shifted slightly, subtle but noticeable. "You weren't invited," Jin said. The man stopped a few steps inside, his eyes settling on Nia first, not Jin. That alone made her uneasy. "So, this is her," he said, his tone almost curious. Nia frowned. "Who are you?" she asked. The man ignored the question, still looking at her like she was something being examined. "I expected someone different," he added. "Leave," Jin said, his voice firmer now. The man finally looked at him, a faint smile forming. "You always were impatient." Nia's chest tightened. The tension in the room wasn't loud, but it was sharp, precise, like something ready to snap. "What is this?" she demanded. The man stepped closer, his attention returning to her. "You don't know?" he asked. "Then this is even more interesting. Say what you came to say." Jin cut in. The man ignored him again. "You came here alone," he said to Nia. "New city, no connections, no protection. And somehow, you ended up exactly where you were meant to be." Nia's stomach tightened. "I chose to come here," she said. The man's smile widened slightly. "Did you?" Silence. Jin stepped forward slightly. "That's enough." The man's gaze flicked to him briefly, then back to Nia. "You think this is chance," he continued. "That you just happened to meet him? That everything aligned perfectly for you?" Nia's pulse started to rise. "What are you talking about?" she demanded. "I'm talking about design," he said. "Careful, intentional design." Jin's voice sharpened. "Ryu." The name hung in the air. Nia's eyes flicked between them. "Brothers." It clicked without needing to be said. Ryu looked amused. "You didn't tell her," he said to Jin. "I'm not surprised." "You're done here," Jin replied. "No," Ryu said calmly. "I'm just getting started." He stepped even closer to Nia now, close enough that she could feel the shift in the air. "You were placed," he said quietly. "Every step you took brought you here. Every struggle, every failure, every opportunity." Nia shook her head immediately. "That's not true." "Isn't it?" Ryu tilted his head. "Your restaurant failing at the exact time you needed help. The right people noticing you. The right doors opening. You think that's luck?" Her chest tightened, but she forced herself to stay grounded. "I built this," she said. "I fought for this." "And someone made sure you had something to fight," he replied. Jin moved then, stepping between them. "You've said enough." Ryu's expression shifted slightly, more serious now. "You're too close to this," he said. "You always let emotion cloud your judgment." "Leave," Jin said again. This time there was no softness in it. Ryu studied him for a moment, then stepped back, but his attention stayed on Nia. "You should ask yourself," he said. "Why you?" Nia didn't respond. "Couldn't. Because the answer isn't random," he added. Then he turned and walked out, his men following without a word. The silence that followed was heavier than anything before. Nia stood still, her mind racing, her chest tight, her thoughts colliding all at once. Slowly, she turned to Jin. "Tell me he's lying," she said. Jin didn't answer immediately. That was enough. "Tell me," she repeated, her voice rising now. "He's manipulating you," Jin said. "That's not what I asked," she snapped. "Is there any truth to what he said?" Jin held her gaze, and for the first time, there was something there she hadn't seen before. Hesitation. "Not in the way he means it," he said carefully. "That's not an answer," she said again, frustration breaking through. "Then ask a better question," he replied. Nia stepped back, shaking her head, trying to process everything at once. "No," she said. "No more half answers. No more you know enough. I don't know anything." Her voice cracked slightly, emotion slipping through despite her control. "So you're going to tell me everything. Right now." Jin didn't move. "Or what?" he asked quietly. Nia's eyes hardened. "Or I walk away," she said. "From this. From you. From everything." The words hung between them, heavy and final. And for the first time, Jean looked like that mattered. Jean didn't answer immediately, and that silence stretched long enough to feel like a decision being made. Nia stood her ground, even though her chest was tight and her thoughts were racing in every direction. "Say something," she demanded. Jean exhaled slowly, then finally spoke. "You weren't placed away," he said. He began, "but your arrival wasn't entirely unnoticed." Nia frowned. "That doesn't make sense." "It doesn't have to," he replied. "Not yet." Her frustration spiked again. "No," she said, shaking her head. "We're past that. You don't get to control what I understand anymore. Either you tell me everything or I'm done." Jean studied her carefully, like he was weighing something far more complicated than just her words. "You want the truth?" he asked. "Yes." "Then understand this first," he said. "The moment you walked into the city, people noticed, not because of who you are, but because of what you represented. Opportunity. A gap. Something new in a space that's already controlled." Nia crossed her arms, trying to steady herself. "So I was useful?" "Yes," he said plainly. That word hit harder than she expected, but she didn't look away. "And you?" she asked. "What did you see?" Jean didn't hesitate this time. "Potential." She let out a breath, almost a bitter laugh. "That sounds better, but it's the same thing." "No," he said quietly. "It's not." She held his gaze, searching for something real in his expression. "Then prove it," she said. "Because right now, it feels like everyone around me has been deciding my life without asking me." Jean stepped closer, not aggressively, but enough to make the moment feel more direct. "Then decide now," he said, not based on what he said, not based on what your friend hid from you. Decide based on what you want. Her jaw tightened. "What I want is the truth." "And you have enough of it," he replied. "No," she said firmly. "I don't, but I have enough to make a choice." The word surprised even her, but once they were out, they settled into something solid. She took a breath, steadying herself. "I came here for one reason," she continued, "to build something that was mine, not borrowed, not controlled, mine." Jean nodded slightly. "And you still can—" "Not like this," she said. "Not if every step I take is being watched or influenced or twisted into something else." "That doesn't stop," he said. "Not here." "Then I adapt," she replied. "I don't run." That made something shift in his expression, subtle but real. "Then you understand more than you think," he said. Nia shook her head. "No, I just refuse to be weak in a situation I didn't choose." Silence settled between them again, but this time it felt different. Less like a standoff, more like a turning point. "Those documents," she said suddenly. Jin's eyes flickered slightly. "What about them?" "The ones at the warehouse," she continued. "You know what I'm talking about." He didn't deny it. "You took them," he said. "Yes." She held his gaze. "And now I have leverage." Jean studied her for a moment, then gave a small nod. "You do. So here's how this works now," she said, her voice steady, controlled. "No more half-truths. No more silent decisions being made around me. If I stay in this, I stay fully aware." "And if you leave?" he asked. She paused, just for a second. "Then I leave with enough to make sure no one comes after me," she said. The statement wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Jean didn't look offended. If anything, he looked impressed. "You've changed quickly," he said. "I had to," she replied. "You don't survive this by staying the same." A quiet moment passed. Then he nodded once. "Then we're aligned." She raised an eyebrow. "Are we?" "We are if you choose to be," he said. "Then I choose," she replied. The words landed firmly. "No more being pulled into things," she continued. "If I'm part of this, I stand in it. Equal, not protected, not controlled." Jean held her gaze and nodded. "Equal. And no one walks into my space again like that," she added, her tone sharpening slightly. "Not your brother. Not anyone." "That won't happen again," he said. "Make sure of it," she replied. Another silence followed, but this one wasn't heavy. It was settled, decided. Her phone rang. Nia glanced at the screen, her stomach tightening slightly. Unknown number. She answered anyway. Hello. There was a pause on the other end, then a voice she hadn't heard in years. Nia. Her entire body went still. Who is this? She asked, even though she already knew. You've grown, the voice said calmly. Stronger than I expected. Her grip on the phone tightened. Don't do that, she said. Don't speak like you know me. A quiet breath came through the line. I know enough, he said. The words hit differently this time. Sharper. Heavier. Where have you been? She demanded. Watching, he replied. Her chest tightened. That's not an answer. It's the truth, he said. And right now, you're exactly where you were always meant to be. Nia's eyes flicked to Jean for a brief second, then back to nothing. Stop saying that, she snapped. I made my choices. Did you? Her father asked quietly. Silence. You think you found them, he continued, but they've always been around you, long before you ever stepped into that city. Nia swallowed hard, anger rising to cover the unease creeping in. If you have something to say it clearly. You're in deeper than you understand, he said, and this isn't a game you can walk away from easily. I'm not trying to walk away, she replied. Good, he said, because walking away was never an option. The line went silent for a second. Why now? She asked. Why call me now? Another pause. Because now you're ready, he said. For what? For the truth you keep asking for. The line went dead. Nia lowered the phone slowly, her mind spinning, her emotions colliding in ways she couldn't fully process. For a moment, she just stood there, breathing, trying to ground herself. Jean watched her carefully. That was him, he said. She nodded once. Yeah. And, he asked. She let out a slow breath. And now I know this goes further than I thought. Silence settled again, but this time it wasn't confusion. It was clarity. Nia walked back into the kitchen, her movement steady now, controlled. She picked up a knife, continued slicing as if nothing had happened. Jean watched her for a moment, then spoke. You're not leaving? It wasn't a question. She didn't look up. No, she said. I'm not. Even now, he asked. She paused briefly, then continued cutting. Especially now. A small beat passed. Then she looked up at him, her expression calm but resolute. Because if this was all designed, if every step brought me here, then I'm done being moved around like a piece on someone else's board. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. From now on, I move myself. Jean held her gaze, then nodded once. Then welcome to the real game. Nia didn't respond to that. She just turned back to her work. But something had shifted completely. The fear that had been there before was gone. Not because the situation had changed, but because she had. She wasn't reacting anymore. She was choosing. The kitchen felt different now. Not smaller. Not threatening. Controlled. Hers. And for the first time since she arrived in the city, Nia wasn't just surviving it. She was stepping into it. If you made it this far, you already know this isn't just a story about survival. It's about power, choice, and what happens when someone refuses to stay small in a world built to control them. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think Nia should do next, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this.